sometimes I forget until a few minutes in. My name is Meredith White. I teach Spanish 1 and 2 just outside of Atlanta in Gwinnett County. And we are about halfway through-ish our flag webinar series. So I'm super excited that Elena is here. And she's also going to share her very beautiful, upsetting background right now, because she is in like her scenery, like she's going to make us all super jealous. And I can't wait, because it looks incredible outside where she is. And so we're really excited. I followed Elena for a while, and we all know Twitter is like this weird, we were just saying, like this weird space where like you get so many ideas and then you feel like you know people, because like to a degree you do. And when you share, because Elena shares amazing ideas and shares like with professional like networks and all that kind of like we all share with our different kind of strands of people. It's really easy to feel like, oh, you know, Janine, I know Janine. Kelly, I know Kelly. Oh, Joe, you know, whatever. And it's kind of fun in that way. I think it's one of the trickier parts of, hola, Angelica. Yes. Yes. Oh, she's absolutely, Elena. She's 100% been on before. Yay. It's so good to see you.
Yeah. All right.
Love it. Yeah. Ya te reconozco. So it's really easy to feel like, you know, familiar in those ways. So that was kind of one of the intentions of the webinar series, was like, there are amazing people sharing in these different places. Let's share with each other. So like now we all have the same people in common. So I'm really excited for Elena to talk about all of her amazing ideas, but also just this year and going forward, how are we doing the things that we know, you know, we need to do, like not we need to do, but we're kind of called to do as teachers in different ways, but from this experience and going on. So Elena, would you like tell us where you are, tell us what you're up to these days, and also like show us that panorama behind you, because I can't just, oh.
Okay, well, aloha to everyone from Honolulu, Hawaii. Right now, I came out in the backyard so you can see a little coconut trees and a blue sky and plumeria trees. And I picked a flower. I was going to give a lei to Meredith, but of course not. So I was just giving her this.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so grateful for Meredith to invite me and to share what I've been doing, and just like she said, from here to forward. And I'm gonna share my screen with you right now. And here you go. Where are you? Oh, here. Because I had to make this thing. Okay. So here is, you would have access to all of the, what do you call, little link that I just put it in the chat.
Cool.
The gift that I created was done by onscreen.com. So you just make a little video of yourself, and then boom, you put it in there, and then things like that could happen. I made this one this year for the beginning of the school year. I made a Google Slides version of like a syllabus. And then I knew that students would never have seen me before. So I said, you know what? I need to show my face, even though, you know, it may not be kind of, you know, a little bit awkward. So I took this video and I embedded into my syllabus. Usually syllabus is like really straightforward, just academic, just writing. But this year I put a lot of graphics and everything like that. So when first Meredith asked me, hey, do you want to be on this webinar series? And I said, of course. And I thought about it, and I like making acronym, and you know, Japanese is all about making everything into short words and sentences. And I thought about it in English, and I said, let me see. And then I just came up with this 3 C's of being a cheerleader, caretaker, and curator. And right now, I'm teaching Japanese level 1, and then AP Japanese beginning and end at a small private school called Hawaii Baptist Academy in Honolulu, Hawaii, it's a small private school, I would say. It's total around 440, 50 students in total. Yeah, and Japanese happens to be the number one popular language because of the, I think, a connection with heritage, because Japanese used to be the majority in demograph in terms of, like, of course, next to Hawaiian, we came like 150 years ago to work in the sugar plantation and
Right.
everything. So yeah. So that background helps, and we have a lot of different weird local Japanglish kind of words that people still use, and only local people understand. And if I tell that to my Japanese friends, they go, "What the heck does that mean?" So it's really interesting culture. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep going. Okay. So going through this presentation, I want you to keep asking yourself one thing, like, what triggers to say something? Like, what moves you? And then I came up with this thing. Like, remember this Helen Keller movie? This is an old one. But
Hmm.
like, when she touched the water, the word came out, right? Versus today in classroom, what are the students doing? Just this, staring at a screen. And then we're like in the screen, but we can't really make them feel anything. And so that's one thing I kind of want you to keep on asking yourself. Yeah. And so let me just kind of give you my background this past 2020 timeline. So in the mid March, I'm sure it's same for everyone. Like around now, the school just kind of contacted us. Hey, we're gonna go all online in fourth quarter. We have the quarter system at our school. So fourth quarter, we're in the middle of the spring break. So like last year around now, I think it looks like we're gonna go all online, and we're gonna use Google Meet because Zoom is, remember, like Zoom was a little bit iffy in the beginning, like privacy issue and stuff like that. So Google Meet, but that was the primitive version. They didn't have breakout room. They didn't have any of these kind of fancy functions that we have now, and it had a lot of glitches, but we just had to manage and do it. And so we did. And then we have a short summer break, and then from August till October, that's the first quarter, we continued on online learning because the infection number was still kind of big. And then from mid-October, that's the second quarter, and then till now, it's hybrid.
Mm.
Yeah, and hybrid meaning, I'm gonna explain that to you. Um, that is, and then fourth quarter,
Mm.
um, all in person, just for freshman class. And so I put all these different bit bit emoji here because I feel like I had to be a cheerleader, and then of course caretaker to those who are like lost in online, area, somewhere in the online. And then sometimes I feel like, am I a comedian? Because otherwise they don't pay attention. And of
Right.
course I have to curate and some of the things that the students need to go back to review and blah blah blah. So all of these different roles have been added to my what to do kind of a list. And so this is pre-COVID. I created this. I do it like almost every year or every other year so that kids would have fun and know that Japanese language is fun. This
Mm.
is
Cool.
This song is an official cheer song for 2020 Paralympics. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So that's the little school that I teach. Um, and as you can see, we have a lot of Asian. Like, in fact, like our nickname for our school is called Hawaii's Best Asian, HBA, Hawaii Baptist Academy. But that's a joke.
Right.
Yeah. So I do this because I think we, as a language teacher, I mean, I'm also a department chair, but I need to promote um, my language.
Mm,
So yeah, sometimes I do this just to advocate for my language, and I kind of encourage other languages. We have Chinese, Mandarin, and Spanish, but Japanese tends to be the popular language of the choice. So right now, the hybrid, we call it concurrent because alpha group is divided by the last name. Mondays and Tuesdays, they come on campus. And then while Omega group, online. And then Omega group comes to campus on Thursday and Fridays. And then on Wednesday, everyone stays online.
mm,
And then there's just Delta group that I have to really take care. They're the one that basically stays online 100%. Due to a health reason, maybe they live with older grandparents or
mm,
some kind of a health based bottom line health issue. So that is that, and then but uh, since the beginning of the second semester, the Delta group number are reduced drastically. So I think kids are starting to feel better, and this is a backdrop of Hawaii's number right now. As of today, this morning, I heard that it was, I think it was 1.5 infection rates. And then the numbers on my island is about 50-ish, more or less, every day. And it started to open up more, and then more tourists are coming in. And then, of course, because of that, in fourth quarter, we're having 100% freshman class returning. So we are in kind of in between transitioning after transitioning. The fourth quarter is a big change. And then this is just how I used to start the the online class. This is the last year's fourth quarter. So I knew the kids and the kids knew me.
mm.
And this is how just some samples.
こんにちは。皆さん、こんにちは。皆さん、こんにちは。
If you know, Japanese is all about cosplay. So yeah, so I use this to just grab attention or just change a little scene, the scenery. And then that was okay. But then came the new school year, started with 100%. Students don't know me and I don't know them. And they went like, who? And I try my best to start like, hello, my name is Elena Yu. I'm your Japanese teacher this year. Our class motto is be kind to each other. And they were like, literally, like, what? What? What are you talking about? Like, yeah. So that was really, really hard. And I even made them like recite this. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Ask questions. Don't be, hesitant. But I did because of this, I guess daily chanting of don't be shy, don't worry about it. We're kind to each other, blah, blah, blah. I did get them get a lot of questions and stuff more than I usually do. So I think it was in a way that we started, better way.
Mm.
And then I just want to kind of give you what kind of tech support that we get from school. And so we have a really good tech team that when I ask that question, they would respond to me right away, and then they'll help me. And then each teacher has either MacBook or PC, and then we also have iPad. We used to be one-to-one iPad school, and then because of this whole online thing and we decided, you know what, we're going to just switch to Chromebook because we use more Google stuff. So we are in between. So the students have both iPad and Chromebook until the end of the school year. So
Wow.
they're very, very, yeah. And then Pear Deck and Edpuzzle, Kami, we have the premium paid account. I was sort of like the one that kind of started asking, hey, can we get the Pear Deck account? Hey, can we get the Edpuzzle account? Because they're so useful. And then I think it's really important that we have to kind of advocate for technical, support. And then, I mean, depends on the district if it's for public school and depends on the private school. But I think in that sense, I was trying to be the cheerleader to become more,
Yes.
advocate for the tech. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we did get the voice amplifier kind of thing, but it was not really user friendly and it didn't really help. So I basically used my karaoke machine, and you would see it next. Um, so this is completely based on my perspectives and my experience, and I just even put like not backed up by any research. But yeah, so during
Research.
yeah, online learning, I think the kids really need a routine so they can expect no surprise. Yeah, and then you need to repeat not just once, not just twice. I would say 3 to 4 times because I do that, and then I go and I hear, "Excuse me, you sensei, what did you just say?" Like, I just explained that to you. And so to avoid that, and I think you just have to kind of take time and let it sink in before you move on. So it takes longer than in-person class. And
Absolutely.
and then I noticed, and I'm sure all of you know, kids hear it, and then if they're not 100% sure, what do? They ask their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're not together. They're not together. So what do? Sometimes they may be texting each other, or I don't know how they're communicating online, but they're doing it. And then I told them at the beginning of the class, I mean, school year, please don't do that because your friends may be wrong. So ask me. Yeah. And I realized like kids really are craving for praises from me, for encouragement, and also they're such gamers. They like to earn points. So I started to use. I mean, I've always used Class Dojo for attendance, but I started to give more points thingy. You will see it next, but and then also online learning is brutal because they're sitting down pretty much all day. Not just my class, but they have altogether 7 periods. So can you imagine sitting all day long, staring at the school screen, and no oxygen is going into their brains? And yeah, and they also want to talk to each other, and that's
Absolutely.
like I said, yeah.
Mm.
And I really think that just not realistic. If you think that you can teach the same amount of materials and in a same manner, that's just not true. So I think 3 things. Um, I used to do a lot of cold calling, like, hey, just to make sure that to retain their attention span or whatever. But I feel like online learning cold calling is a little bit too cruel. Not to be easy on them, but I feel like some kids who are, especially the beginner level, like they don't even want to say certain things. but then they get cold, and then they get more and more nervous, and they don't have help around from their friends. So I really stopped doing too much of a cold calling, and unless I know that they're very, very, familiar with that, and for reviewing and stuff. And then if you can complete the normal curriculum, I swear you may be okay, but students are not learning.
Right.
Yeah. And then if you're just delivering the lectures, I'm so sorry, but YouTube can do that. So I think we really need to rethink what we do as a teacher, and yeah, not just a professor kind of a role, I
Right.
guess.
Well, I
Yeah.
think
So
too, the hard part is too, like we've had, and there's some comments in the chat, like we all have such different situations, which I think is
yeah.
like a really hard part of this. So like Morgan was saying in the chat, she's had incredible participation and been able to like really build community. And others, might say, and my experiences too, really trying towards those things, and kind of taking personally if it doesn't happen. And so that's really hard, like to exactly like Joe just said, like to not give up on them, but to also not get down on yourself. I mean, it's like Dora the Explorer. You're going, Kelly, Marta, anybody? Are you there? And we've mailed cards, we've sent packages, we've texted home, we've like gone to their house, we've done all the things. All of our situations are so individual that
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. Like right now we're a year into like computer school, and it would be really easy to right now go, okay, let's make it harder. Now we're in a routine, everyone's gotten into a groove. And I think that would be a huge misstep, because I think Angelica mentioned in the chat, and I concur, my students are starting to check out. My students at this point, like a year into computer school, are going like, kind of like off the grid. They're tired, they're frustrated. We've got relationships, but like they're done. They are just checking a box at some point. And
Yeah.
like Martha just said, like just communicating with each other, it's all really hard. So I appreciate that you're acknowledging that, because it's really difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm so like our situation is really uh, much better than some of the schools on the mainland, or yeah, because Hawaii, because of that, like I explained to you, the infection rate is so low that people are, somewhat feel better by coming to school. And then ever since the second semester, beginning of the second semester, students come at least once a week. So they're finally started to really like take their learning more seriously. I guess they realize, like, I guess I have, I have no choice. At the same time, because of that obligation, they started to really learn. And I I was gonna explain that to you too, but they they were there, but they weren't there during the first semester, I feel. So there's a huge, like a gap, there's a the vacant, like a hole in their learning process. So now a lot of my students get it, and then I can see it by just assessing formative assessment and whatnot. But because they were like kind of like not really there, I can see the first semester's content was left out. Not all of them, but some of them.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, in the fourth quarter, I will have to do a lot of first semester review. Yeah, just so that they can, go back and revisit before they're moving up to Japanese too. And this is just a short bell ringer ritual. I do it every single time. Here is my karaoke machine microphone. I have a little clear shower curtain that I just install in front of me. So my, whatever is not gonna go to my students, and I can still see. And then what I do is I choose one student, yeah, and then make them stand up. This is a Japanese high school ritual. They all stand up and then they bow. And then their online students are doing the same thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so, and then as soon as they bow, they did the greeting, I start reviewing game. And once, yeah, and then once they answer it, they can sit down. So until they answer, they have to remain standing. In the beginning, it was a little bit awkward, and then some of the, especially like girls, tend to take it kind of personal. But yeah, they got used to it, so now I can do this without any problem. But uh, I do it
Uh,
every single time. Yeah, so
cool.
that they're, and then I tell them, hey, this is my way of letting you know that you need to practice. If you're staying standing, that means you're a little bit behind. So I don't want to embarrass you, but not that's not my point. My point is that you need to be aware of your behindness or whatnot. And so this is a class dojo. I don't know if you're familiar with that. This is like for elementary school kids, but I really like it. It's really, so I can do a random picker. I can give him points for participating. Yeah, and then it has pretty much all that timer and all that stuff. And then they actually really, really go for this earning the points. And I'm not giving them any additional extra credit or anything like that. It's just that every 10 to 20 points, I give them a little prize that I have in my class. And then they're really, this made a lot of difference. Yeah. So I'm going to continue doing that. And this is just the beginning of my class. Every time I have this kind of agenda, hey, we're doing this today and we're doing this. And then some of the things I ask them to read or talk to their neighbors or a small group breakout room, and then let them read to each other, things like that. It's just small thing. And then homework is always posted at the beginning, like that. And I just want to show you a photo of my front of my classroom. This is where I stand. There's a shower curtain, and there's a smart board. And this is the back of the classroom, and I sit behind this another shower curtain. This is just my workstation. And students are sitting like this. I don't know if you noticed at the very beginning when the kids were dancing and singing, I used to have two tables put together and it had like 6 islands so that they would be in a group and they could have talk to each other right away, like, hey, practice with your neighbor right away. But now because of this, and then they're wearing masks, so it's really, they're not really supposed to like turn to each other and stuff, but that's that. And then my school, the building, it's older building, so I get to open the windows, and then we do have air conditioner, and then I added a little fan, and then they even provided us with air purifier. And so in terms of safety protocol, I think we're pretty safe. And this is the karaoke machine that I have, and this is from the back of the view from the back side. Yeah. Okay, so what I've been trying to kind of, think back what I have been doing differently this school year is I really emphasize on their output. So I keep telling them, hey, no one's listening to you right now. So you don't have to be shy. You can actually scream all you want. Repeat this 3 times, 5 times, and I actually have them do. And if I don't see them, their mouth not moving ahead, I called out, hey, so and so, you're not using this time. Do this. And then I think they got really used to saying out loud. And then I even introduced shadowing. I usually don't introduce until like second semester, but I started using it early on too. And a lot of formative assessment. And in the beginning, like I try my best to give more grace rather than the grades. And yeah, the daily reviewing sometimes takes like 20 minutes. Oh, I forgot to kind of mention my schedule. It's usually 90 minutes twice a week. And then the Wednesday is only 30 minutes. So you can't do anything. I usually just do like either breakout room conversation practice or quiz review, things like that. Wednesday is all just checking in and that's it. Yeah. So this 90-minute period, we did have longer period before COVID, but on top of that, it's online. It was really brutal. And so like I said here, I never really want to have the students study for the test, but I had them practice the process of how the assessment is going to be given this time a lot. Like, hey, written test, how the written test is going to look like. Hey, the speech test, how the test is going to be given. And then for the social emotional learning, thing. And I also use the Flipgrid. Um, I met this amazing English teacher from Japan. So she's teaching English to Japanese students. And then we hooked up and then created this Flipgrid conversation thing together. And then we made this Flipgrid where her students are speaking in English and my students are speaking Japanese. And then we did this probably monthly like topic introduction, starting from introduction, what is popular right now in terms of music or fashion, what's your favorite, what do you go, anime and things like that. And I've never had this many views on Flipgrid. It went over 2,000 views.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah. So they're watching each other's Flipgrids like almost every single day with so many friends, I think. That was really, really amazing. So I even after COVID thing, hopefully we can continue doing that. And because of the time difference, we can't really we did try to do a Google Meet once on Saturday, their Saturday, our Friday, and it was really difficult. But so Flipgrid is can be done in asynchronous, so I really like it. Yeah, and then I don't know if you noticed, I have a projector, the smartboard in the middle, and then whiteboard on both sides. But I seriously never ever use whiteboard even once. That was really like when I thought about it, it's like, wow, I haven't bought the markers for months,
Right.
Because I'm not using it. Yeah, and so output is important, and I wanted to make sure that they get the pronunciation. They don't have to feel shy about it. They don't have to feel embarrassed about it. So I made it purposefully like funky in a way. So like every time I would teach pronunciation, I would do something like this. And then the whole purpose of me dressing up like crazy cosplay thing is to make them relax, so that, and to teach them it's okay to act a little crazy. It is okay to sound okay, helicopter flying over my head, but it's okay to sound funny because you are speaking a foreign language. So that was my intention. Yeah. And so uh, I'm sure all of you know how hard it is to have this online lesson plan, which is, I think, takes longer than in-person lesson plan, because there's no like break time in between for teachers. I feel like you have to go 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, like boom, boom, boom. You have to have everything all lined up. And on top of that, you have to do grading. And so I really sought out to find like less grading way, and try to find like the more of a like an auto graded thing, and ended up not using too much of it. But this is a misspelling, quizzes I use a lot, and it's still free version is pretty good. And I try to have them practice with the unlimited try first, and then Quizalize, I'm still kind of testing it. And I did buy my own Kahoot because they can also do the unlimited try so that they can get with explanation in between. I'm kind of debating whether or not to do GimKit, but that's not free, so I have to kind of think. And then
Yep.
peer evaluation. This is not for Japanese one, but for AP, I started to do a lot of that, and this is one of the examples. So they have to do like a speech or presentation online. That's the AP exam, one of the platforms. I think Spanish is probably the same. So I had them actually do on Flipgrid. Flipgrid has just the microphone, the voice recording only. So I had them record their voice only, and then I had them do a peer evaluation using this rubric. And then I like using the single criteria rubric just like this. And then I just put the ones that we go over. Hey, this is what we really want you to do. And then grow is something that you need to improve, and glow is something that you did amazingly. And some of the comments that students put was like amazing. I was like, wow, you are really looking, and you are really like, and I think listening to other students, other each other's speeches or presentations, it's really helpful. So yeah, I really like this way. And if you share the Jamboard, I use this one as a Jamboard. If you share it in the Google Classroom, and then you just kind of assign, create, I have 10 students in my AP Japanese, so just created 10 pages and then just put the presenter and then um, evaluate it by name here, and they can just do it um, on the
Smart.
spot.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Jamboard.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so, oh, this is just so Quizlet Live. Sometimes I really want them to, get used to like being together, even though you're in classroom and your friends are in online. So I do this a lot, and they get really into it. So it's almost funny. And then they want to yell at the students on the other side. Yeah, so like, hey, it's your turn, kind of a thing, and
Right.
they really get into it. So yeah, yeah. Here's the microphone that I have, and this is one of the things. So Japanese is all about um, memorization in a way for certain terms, especially the we call that a counter. So every single number, like the calendar dates are different, and so I have to really have them be able to review it. So what I usually do is I don't know if you any one of you would do it. Like I have them sing a lot, and this one I actually did have them practice a lot and have them do a rap song. So this is so this was one of the students. I didn't ask them, but he even added like the beat. So I thought that was really cute. So yeah, and this is a Japanese professor research. I guess he wrote a book. He's one of my favorite writers or researchers. And then it's he's basically saying, hey, we have two different languages right now, in I guess in this society. One is called artificial language, something like coding, the computer language, versus natural language, like what we're teaching. And oh, sorry, I pressed the wrong. This one, if you want to click on the link, you can actually see the video. His point is artificially created language, you have to learn the rules, whereas naturally existing language like Spanish, Japanese, Chinese should be naturally acquired. And what it and he also said like researching on language acquisition is essentially the same as studying the human heart, the feelings. So really, like we really need to remember that we're actually taking care of the whole human beings versus just teaching the rules, teaching the grammar, teaching the writing. And that's something that I think as a high school teacher, I guess it's easier for me to realize that. And so what triggers you, what motivates you to speak is your feelings. And I think we need to understand that students have a lot of them, a lot of different feelings. And um, that's why I wanted to kind of mention that. And I know some of Meredith, your past presenters talked about emotional scaffolding. That was like amazing. Yeah, exactly how I feel. And I know this 5 C's, it's all about like communities and community, and they all go together with this emotional thing.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think for student and teacher alike, I
Yeah.
react so many times, or I react so many times because it's our job is emotional. I think teaching is emotional, learning is emotional. And I think a lot of times what we do is we react or plan based on teaching, and we teacher center. We say, "Oh, I really love this activity," or "I love this." And we're like focusing on how we feel about something, and not whether or not like students like something or feel a certain way about something. That's what Stacy just said in the chat. Like, it's the hard part of being online. We're missing out on some of the feelings,
Yeah.
and or they're expressed differently. We say, how many times do we say, "Oh, they just don't care about their grades. They don't," but then they email, and depending on our emotions and how they're feeling and the way they word it, we're like, "Oh, Elena just emailed about her grades again. That email was so rude." And it's like all about feelings. Like, we would complain if you didn't email about your grades, and we would complain if you emailed too much about your grades. Like, we're like
Exactly.
Goldilocks and the Three Bears, like, don't do it
Yeah.
this way, but don't do it this way.
Yeah.
It's all so emotional.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. So, not that I'm being successful at all of these, but I just kind of listed something that this I think goes for any time. It's not just online time, but it more so. I really, really want the students to know that making mistakes is okay. And
Yep.
I repeat that. And I keep telling them, hey, you're going to school because you need to make mistakes and learn from them. If you know the content, if you know what you are learning right now, you don't have to come to school. So please
Right.
make mistakes. And, it's okay to laugh at yourself, laugh at your mistakes, but do not laugh at other people. That's the difference. And so that is something that I emphasize, try to emphasize. And sometimes by saying that, some students like, well, she's making me feel uncomfortable. So I really
Mm,
like, I have, let's say this year's freshman class is a little bit smaller, but I usually have like around 20 students per period. And out of 20 students, I wouldn't say one or two. I don't really don't know. Like randomly, some students may be feeling uncomfortable.
mm,
Uh, just they're uncomfortable just talking about their emotions. So, but I want them to be okay with it because language is all about explaining and expressing what you're doing, how you're feeling, and why you want to say something, and it's all related to it. So, yeah, and then I think that's why I really act. I don't know if you probably this say, you're lying, but I'm a total introvert. Yeah,
mhm.
and so I I I have to make sure that I kind of go out there and say things that I need to say. And I actually tell them that that's who I am and how I am. And you can do this if I can do it, kind of a thing. Yeah. And then
Mhm.
this year, I'm more of being aware of like balancing the input, output, especially speaking. So I feel like they're really gotten good in terms of pronunciation and speeches, but the writing, which is very, very important for Japanese language because it's very heavy in writing, um, is a little bit behind, I feel. So I have to really revisit the first semester content in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna just talk about a few things that I did and worked out okay. Believe me, I tried everything, a lot of things, and some of them did not work out. And then, so I'm not going to mention that right now. But there is no, to be honest, I'm sure you would say, agree with me. There's no teach-proof assessment. Period. There isn't. But there are things that your students cannot cheat, and those are the things that I wanted to do. Oh, this is something, it's not me, it's the Edutopia thing. I'm just gonna play this really, really good. And I was kind of encouraged by this video because it says you don't have to give feedback to every single one of them. So I'm just gonna play this really short 2-minute video, 1.5 minutes.
Mm.
Yeah, I really like this, and I actually literally took like some of the tips that it was suggested in the video. Yeah. So what I usually do is I just give like frequent low stakes quizzes, and then uh, let them actually submit the second time because it's online quiz usually. If
Right.
it's a quiz, yeah. And then I do practice the assessment process before giving, hey, this is what we're going to do. And it's going to be great at kind of a big time. So let's practice. And that's what I do. And this was one of the exams. I use Pear Deck, the student-paced version. I don't know if you're familiar with the Pear Deck. You have the instructor-led, which is the teacher moves the slide one from two to three. Yeah, this one, you just create the Pear Deck slides and then the student can go back and forth. So the instruction is the first page. And it was just one of those, like it was about the house, and you would explain what type of room is located where and what part of the house, how big your room is or house is, what kind of house you live in, and blah, blah, blah. So that kind of a thing. And then basically I just said, you know what, your goal is to showcase your writing skills, and there is no set rule what you need to write other than this last one. And then I just included this, and the students know how to say toilet is in front of bathroom, kitchen is next to the bathroom entrances, blah blah blah, that kind of a thing. And they would just write whatever they know, and I just gave them 10 minutes or 15 minutes of time. And it, to me, it really I could really measure their proficiency level.
Mm.
And I was able to give them really good feedback, and then the students went back and took a retake if they needed to. Yeah, and this year I been a little bit more focusing on proficiency than the accuracy. I know accuracy, it is important too, but so this way, then students really may have a vocabulary side on the side, but they still really didn't, yeah, time
Yeah, I
to,
mean, what can you do?
yeah,
Here it's like, oh my gosh, like the video, the Edutopia, like, is it busy work? Okay, get rid of it. Just do the important stuff.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So here's a list of what I use in terms of the tech.
Mm,
Google Classroom because we're Google School, and then Flipgrid, yeah, totally. And then Wakelet, I started to use more to just curate thing, and then I started to use like unit, not lesson plan, but unit materials, so a student can go back and kind of do a reviewing. Day, if not daily, bi-weekly. And then Jamboard, I love Jamboard, but for some reason the students and have lots of glitches. I don't know what's going on. So I'm going to transition to Kami because Kami has a whiteboard function too. So
right.
yeah, I think I'm gonna try to use more Kami. Yeah, and then Pear Deck, of course. And then I use Schoology, the free one, for graded quizzes, that's vocabulary matching or multiple choice, and then just kind of have them practice. And then quizzes to practice for the graded quizzes. And then right now I'm in the middle of spring break, so I'm trying to get more tech skill, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we've had a couple people share like in the chat, what they've been counting things. So like you said, no cheating is preventable. And also looking to redefine cheating. I think a lot of times it's generational. I think it's cultural. I think, what Kelly, I mean, we're in the same generation, but like what Kelly might say is cheating, somebody younger might say that's not cheating, and then somebody older might say all of it's cheating, all of you are wrong, whatever. Or the opposite, like we might all be all over the same place. So I think, yeah, like redefining the support that we provide for students. I know Morgan, who's here, presented last weekend about I mean, incredible, about like all the different supports and scaffolds. Like if they don't understand it, it doesn't matter. So like how can we, provide all these different things for them to understand, in the moment and then beyond. And then what? Because if we're just
Yeah.
talking to a screen,
Yeah.
what is
So
what does this mean for the future?
right. And so this is exactly what I was just going to talk about. It's because of this pandemic and online learning, I feel like the biggest damage was done to the students' character.
Wow.
Yeah, because they think everyone else is doing it. So it's okay to just look at it, just to, it's not even cheating. I think and it's been going on over a year now. And once you do it for over a year, it becomes part of you.
Mm,
And that's something that I'm very worried about. And that's something that I don't want them to continue, carrying into their next level of education. If you're graduating from high school, don't do it in high college. If you're going to the next grade, don't do it next year. No, not even really. Like, how do we do that? That's my own question to myself.
mm,
Yeah. And then this this one, I have a little poster posted on the classroom, and I just really like to somehow like empower the students so that they would not ask questions like this. Like, yeah.
right.
Um, yeah. So I just mentioned the 3C things, but I think 3Es is something that I want to take it to the next level, and we can continue how much we can encourage our students to keep on learning and owning their own learning, I guess.
Mm,
Yeah. And then how do I do it, and how do you can you do it is things that I do at my school. um, so this is for Japanese language only, but so I enter my students to a different competition. This one of the competition we just ended, had it last week, and we won the first place. Yay! So we're actually going to Japan because we want the trip uh, award when the country opens. I don't know if ever, but maybe
Right.
next end of the year. And then I also started a Japanese. I'm sure National Honor Society, Spanish and other languages have it too, right?
Absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, we started the Japanese National Honor Society, and then we annually the National Honor Society hosts this thing called Onigiri Action. I don't know if you're familiar. This is kind of like a charity event. You
Hmm.
make rice bowl. It's called onigiri, and
Yes.
then you take photo of it and you post it on their website. Each photo will provide 5 school meals
Yeah.
in places like Africa where kids are starving, I guess. That's the kind of thing that we could do. So it's, I think, this charity and NPO organization is hosting that. So we um, try to teach the students, hey, this is what we can do when we're totally not, you know, can't do anything on our own.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So this is all I have. And right now, I, like most of you, are feeling the stress. And so right now, I think that work, yeah, I can say all I want and say, do this, do that. But you know what? We really need to self-care um, as a person, as a teacher, as a mom, as a wife, as a, daughter, whatever. I think it's it's getting to be very, very difficult after a year. And
Mm.
yeah, so I'm really grateful for someone like you, Meredith, like providing all this, opportunity for people to share and to exchange encouragements and knowledge and experiences. And this is really what we need right now. Yeah. And I'm not going to play this video, but this video really, really like hit me really hard and really, really taught me so much. If you have time, watch this. This is about an hour. Um, Professor Brown from, I forget, it was a California State University. He's a Spanish teacher, by the way. He speaks multiple languages, but in this video, he's showing how he acquired Arabic, which is one of the most difficult language. Yeah, so it was very, very helpful for me to understand what proficiency is and what natural approach is.
Mm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thank you,
yeah.
Elena. Thank you so much for sharing so many things. I think, I mean, obviously your slides, and I'm going to paste them back in the chat and everything. And so we'll post the recording, of course, and that'll be at the link that I just put in the chat. I'm so grateful for you for sharing always, but also just acknowledging, I think, what's going well, what it's like what's going well or what we think is going well, right? Like there's like the perception of I think they like this, or I think, and I think that's all we can share at some point. Like we can say, Chase can say, my kids love Gimkit, my kids love Blookit. Joe might say, my kids think Blookit sucks. And then I might say, my kids think Gimkit sucks. And they don't, but like some do because they don't all play. I like to lie in the Zoom and say, okay, if you don't join the Gimkit, I tell them that they have to put the same name in the Gimkit or else Zoom kicks them out. It doesn't. I do. I remove them manually. I'm like, if Elena like is on the Zoom, but Elena never joins Gimkit, I'm like, goodbye, ciao, ta-ta. Like I just remove them manually because I'm terrible. But I'm like, why are you on the Zoom then? Like you've muted me. You're playing Call of Duty. Goodbye. Like don't even bother. So right, Kelly, listen, you kick one person out of the Zoom. I know. God. So Elena, my students are able to come back to the Zoom, but then we were on a call and I accidentally, well, it wasn't accidentally. I removed the ACTFL Teacher of the Year. I didn't know it was her. And I was like, wrong. fake news, not you. And I removed her, and then she couldn't come back in. So really embarrassing. So not my finest moment. But my Zoom is a tomb. Okay, like people, listen, boundaries, people. And so I think we're all struggling with different things. And so I really appreciate your honesty, like especially with the self-care piece. I think for teachers, we're tired of hearing just the conversations I've been having. Like we're tired of hearing like relax, take a day, take a bubble bath, get like a bubble bath. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, or I'm supposed to go get yourself a coffee. All the coffee and whiskey in the world cannot cure, not together, well, maybe together, cannot cure like this year. I mean, it's been a lot. So I think for all of us, our situations are so different. I just appreciate you sharing what's worked for you, but also like looking ahead. Cause like you said, with their character, with the tools we're using, we're not going to be able to go back to exactly what we were doing, which I think is really, really powerful. And with each passing day toward April and May, I don't know if you're in the same situation, but I feel like each day that I realize we're getting closer to the end of the year, I'm looking ahead to next year. And I'm not sure what it's gonna be like. So it's super weird. It's hard. You know, we're
I
teachers.
feel like if you're so stressed and feel a little depressed, you know what that means? That means you care. You
Yeah,
care about your students. Because if you're not, then you're not gonna feel that kind of thing.
yeah,
I feel like so. Sometimes I feel like I think I'm caring too much, and
yeah,
then but that's like just I can't stop caring, and each one of them it's
yeah.
really, yeah.
Well, and I think what you're able, I know we mentioned in the chat earlier, like different things that have worked. I mean, we're all like sending out like smoke signals, to like, hi, students, hello, we love you, we care. Our school put signs all around our neighborhoods, like at the beginning of all of this last year. And some of us have signed, oh, Morgan was mentioning, Christina, maybe, or Martha, somebody, it was back up in the chat about like notes, sending notes home. And so that can be really powerful, mailing cards, like all of those kind of things. But, yeah, like if they don't even respond to that, that can be really hard. So stressing out because you care, I think is
Yeah.
very, very real. And comparing yourself. I think comparing yourself is very real. If Martha shares, like, I'm just Martha because I can see your face, like Martha's sharing on, someplace like Twitter, and she's saying, oh my gosh, this is going well. Oh my gosh, this is going well. I might be like, okay, like Martha is she's having the best year of her career. And I'm like in the toilet, like, just, not having, like feeling really terribly. So I think it's like that balance, like take care of ourselves. And maybe part of that is doing what we know works and not comparing. I don't know. But that can be hard on places like Twitter where there's a lot of sharing, which is powerful. Also, I
Yeah.
don't know. So
Yeah.
it's just a lot. I appreciate you, and I think it's a good conversation to have. And I'm just so thankful for everything that you've shared. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And thank you
Absolutely.
everyone for listening.
Yes. Can you show us, please, will you just pan one more time to that scenery? Because you're on spring break and I'm super jealous and I need to see this. Oh,
Blue sky.
oh my God. And the breeze. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I mean, God,
Right behind this area, there's a place called Hanauma Bay where you can literally feed the fish and the fish will come to you.
shut up. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Okay, well now we have to visit you.
Yeah.
When's the next time that Southwest Colt is in Honolulu? It was just like 2 years ago, right?
Right. I don't know.
I think it's like another 3 or 4 years. I'm
Probably
there.
not. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Because I think
Colorado snowing. Yeah.
I know, yeah, in Colorado it's snowing, and geez Louise, Teresa, hopefully you're, gosh, holding space for obviously for Atlanta and for Colorado, and and everything that's going on right now, I feel like we check the news and it's yet again something else. So, you know, we find togetherness, I suppose, and unity wherever we can. And as language teachers, that's a thing we do. So thank you so much, Elena. We appreciate it. I'll post the recording, everybody. Thanks for sharing some time with us tonight. And hopefully this finds you well. Hopefully it finds you healthy. And we only have not that much longer to go unless you're in like a year-round school place and then you guys do your own thing. But for some of us, I know I've never been this person. I've never been, makes me kind of emotional, but I've never been a countdown person. And this year I feel like I'm a countdown person a little bit. You know, those people that go like, oh, 15 days to Christmas. And you're like, geez, you're already counting? Like that seems, I am now that person. Like I'm like 43. So, and it's upsetting. Like it feels like I'm not looking forward to the present moment, but I think we're all just ready for like a break and like a restart and a reset. So, and for me, it's like there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of shame that comes in teaching and learning. And I think that we don't talk about, and vulnerability. And I think this year, the most shame for me has come to feeling like a horrible teacher, which is really selfish. But feeling for my students like I haven't served them. And you know, those two are directly related, but it's like I am just ready for these students who I see every day and who this is like a very embarrassing experience. Like for me, I don't think for them, I don't know. They haven't said that, but whatever. I'm like, let's just flush the toilet and move on. Like, can we just goodbye? You know, like see you in August, new people. I hope you don't talk to anybody from this year. I hope you have no friends who are older than you. Goodbye. Like, please don't ever, we never speak of this year. Like, because it's a lot. So hang in there, everybody. And I'm glad Marta said her daughter is counting too. Thank goodness, because I'm like, I feel really guilty about it.
But at the same time, don't you feel like the time flew so fast? It's already April. I mean, it's already April. That means Christmas is around the corner. Seriously, I feel that way. It's like, God. Oh,
practically Thanksgiving. No,
yep.
Right. But like also, also yes, 100%. Like, yes, the days for me, the days are long, but the weeks are fast. Like the days are slow, but then it's like Thursday. And I'm like,
I feel it. I feel it. Yeah.
Crap. Like, did we get everything done? Like, oh my God. And then I'm like, let me make a quiz for tomorrow and only make it on what we did this week because, oh my God, like I don't even, So 100, I think you're exactly right. I think we just need to like keep zooming out, keep listening to each other. Like, you're not crazy. You're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You're not imagining it. You're not imagining it. Like, because it's just a lot and it's like too much and not enough at the same time. So, yay. Well, Elena, thank you so much. I'll put the recording up if that's okay. And
yes, of course. Thank you.
Yay. And I'll see you on Twitter. I'm literally going to go look up when we're in Honolulu for Southwest Cult because I can't wait. Okay, awesome. Thank you, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We'll be back on here tomorrow night.
That's right.
How do you say goodbye? Is it still aloha? Like in Hawaii?
You can say like to thank you, mahalo.
Oh, mahalo.
Mahalo. Yeah.
Mahalo. Okay, I love that. Yay. Well, mahalo.